Would you have a look at this gorgeous machine that we have here from Ford? This is a 2025 Ford Bronco Sport with the Sasquatch package. We got some updates for 2025. In this case, with the Sasquatch package, look at the wheel and tire setup. I love it. 29-inch tall tires, 17-inch wheels. We have the front bumper now being completely metal. Also skid plates underneath. We have this guard in the front, and I think in this eruption green, which is a $600 option, one of the best colors on sale right now in my opinion. It's just a beautiful looking design, retro, at the same time it feels very, very modern as well. It's hard to believe that this is actually a unibody SUV, but because when you're driving it, it feels like a body on frame construction. So what we're going to do in this video is have a look at this design from a front, side, and rear, the interior of course, and then last but not least, we're going to take this for a drive. Let's have a look at what's under the hood of the 2025 Ford Bronco Badlands in this beautiful eruption green metallic, which is a $295 option. You have a 2-liter EcoBoost turbo 4-cylinder putting out 250 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. It's connected to an 8-speed automatic transmission. You do have all-wheel drive with the rear locker. 0 to 60 takes about 7 seconds. This one with the Sasquatch package is a little bit slower than the non-Sas because of the weight added with the optional extras on the exterior and also the wheel and tire, the off-road tires. Fuel economy comes in at 21 city, 27 highway, and the price for this is $44,925, which honestly I think is a pretty good deal. Some of the packages that you have here are options. Sasquatch package, of course, coming in at $2,990. That gives you the 17-inch wheels, the 29-inch all-terrain tires. You got the wider fender, skid plate. I think it's definitely worth it. It just transforms the Bronco into something else. You also have the Badlands Tech package, which includes the 360 camera, and that comes in at $995. Now, starting with the front end design, the face, the personality of the Bronco Sport, this looks great because, as I said, it has this retro vibe with the round headlights right here. This separation, love that we have a clear framing for the top half graphics, bumper separation, and then the lower half graphics with the LED fog lights all the way down here. Full LED headlights as well. The indicators as well, thankfully, are LED. In the front, though, gonna have a look at what's going on in the rear as well later on in this video. Bronco spelled out. You can't really see it because it's behind this bar in white. Like to see that as well. You have some active shutters here. Something's pretty cool to see in this price range. Front-mounted camera located right there, and underneath we also have, as we talked about, this steel skid plates, which of course going to give it a lot more capabilities and protect the underneath when you take this off-road. Coming up close and personal to the headlight unit, the eyeball of this vehicle. I like that the housing is all blacked out and it has this almost transformer look to it with the round eyeball right there. Nice daytime run light with this light in the middle, and of course the 2 strips for the indicators above and below the main daytime run light. I think it's a beautiful design, as I said, with all the graphics. It feels like Ford had a lot of fun designing this vehicle. The same vibe I get with the big Bronco as well. This would be a super exciting project to work on if you were a designer at Ford at the time they were developing these 2 cars. It's hard to believe that this is actually built on the same platform as the Ford Escape, because this look nothing like it. This has the more first generation Escape looks with the boxy styling. I want to show you these ridges that we have up on the hood, looking very industrial and very functional as well, given these more rugged vibes that I want to see in this type of vehicle. Now let's have a look at the side view and check out the ground clearance and also the wheel and tire setup that we have for the 2025 Bronco Sport Badlands. Now coming around to the side view, you do have about 8.7 inches of ground clearance, and that is a little bit higher than a regular Bronco Sport thanks to the 29-inch wheel and tire set, 29-inch tall tires and the 17-inch wheel and tire setup that we have here with all-terrain tires. But can we just take a minute to appreciate this color? Eruption green, as I said, in my opinion, definitely one of the best looking colors on sale today. I do like that we have the 2-tone roof. You can see the shoulder line stretching all the way here. from the front end, the very corner of the front end right here, all the way back. And we have some black graphics in the lower section as well. Blacked out roof rails up top. And we also have this upswing in this area to create more headspace for the rear passengers, giving it a distinct roof line as well. Very, very interesting design from Ford. And then we have this shark fin design graphic right here, covering up a pretty large portion of this third window in the back. Now this right here is a pretty cool little detail. It says max 150 pounds, and this is a tie down. So when you go camping, you can tie down stuff from the roof, for example, like kayaks and stuff like that. Very easy to do. Just fold this out when it's not in use. It's going to go all the way back down. And then of course you need to have the Badlands Sasquatch badge on your Bronco to show everybody that this is what you got in your vehicle. Very nice, and small details like this is stuff I appreciate. Again, just makes it feel like they had a lot of fun designing this vehicle. Now let's look at the wheel and tire setup. This is of course specific for the Sasquatch package, which by the way is a $3,000 option, something that I would definitely consider for the Bronco Sport, because in my opinion it completely transforms the overall vibe and the personality of the vehicle. We have 17-inch wheels, blacked out. In this case, I think black is the way to go because all the other graphics around it is black, and this is an off-road vehicle. We don't necessarily need to have beautiful, elegant looking wheels. We want to have more rugged, functional wheels. That is why I think the black works. Two 35mm wide tires all around, and as I said, you got the all-terrain tires, Goodyear Territory all-terrain tires, giving you this ground clearance of 8.7 inches, which is not bad at all. Now coming around to the rear end, and this is where they didn't really update it that much, but the cool thing here, if you want to open, for example, the glass portion, you can do that separately like that and just throw in some small stuff in here. Or you could of course also open up the full tailgate like this. Think about this though, it's not power assisted. For $44,000, kind of want to see that, but to me it doesn't matter one bit, to be honest. And inside here you have a shelf, a hard plastic shelf that creates the separation between the top level and then you have a lower level here with a couple of 12-volt outlets right here. You also have a house outlet in addition to some tie downs on the side and an LED light button right there. Underneath this cover you do have a full spare size wheel as well, so great to see that. Specifically, you don't have to worry about getting a flat when you're out on the trails. You always have the spare size underneath this cover. Now one detail, I think you know what I'm going to say about the taillights here. When we have LEDs in the front end, we need to have LEDs in the rear end, but in this case we don't have that. You can see that the indicator light here is an old regular Edison light bulb. I don't understand why car companies do this. They maybe save a couple of dollars, but it also makes the car a 2025 model year. We need to have LEDs all around. It's time to update that even for base models, even though this is not the base model, this is top of the line. Then we have this big LED daytime run light, which I love to see. Clean graphic with this, creating a clear identity as well at night when you're looking at this, either from the front with a clear light situation that we have here, there, or in the back with this rectangle or squared out shape that we have in the rear. Now we do have the steel bumpers in the front, and thankfully we also have the steel bumpers in the rear end with the parking sensors integrated here. And look at these tied out, these hooks. Solid hooks for a Bronco Sport, looking great. In addition to that, we have the rear mounted camera located right there, and I do like the white on top of this eruption green spelling out Bronco Sport in the back with a traditional old Ford logo right there. Overall, this design to me, I really don't have anything negative to say about this. I think it's one of the better looking small SUVs on sale today, and this is not a big SUV. It looks bigger because of the bigger boxy shapes, but it's actually the size of a Subaru Crosstrek. Now looking at the Bronco Sport from a straight rear view, I think it does the plantedness pretty well because we have these fenders sticking out, and in addition to that we have the 235mm wide all-terrain tires, giving it this solid planted look that I want to see for vehicles like this. So with that said, we talked about the exterior design. Let me know what you think about this. If you were to buy a Bronco Sport, you can also get it with the 3-cylinder, which I tested about maybe 2 years ago, and I thought that had enough power. But this one with 250 horsepower, the turbo as well, EcoBoost, it sounds deep. It has a nice growl to it. But before we take this for a drive, let's have a look at what's going on in the interior. Oh, let's check out the interior here, and there did some changes for 2025 that I am a fan of and some that I am not. that much of a fan of. First of all, starting with the door panel, looking very solid, very simple design for the door panel. You have the memory seat settings here, controls of course for the mirrors and the windows in this area, in addition to a Bang & Olufsen sound system with a technology package. You got 2 cup holders down here as well, a Bronco when you're stepping in. An overview of the interior, as you can see right here, looking pretty clean. However, we do have a bigger screen now, which means that all the climate settings are now located inside of the software instead of separated buttons like we used to have. So jumping in here, you can see this gauge cluster is one of the best gauge cluster in the business right now. I love everything that goes on here because it's fully digital, but it sits within a nice boxy housing here. We have it fully customizable as well. You can change up what you want to see in the middle section right here. For example, fuel economy, calm view, which sort of removes everything except for the range and the speedometer. I like that. It feels very refreshing to have a mode like that. Trip meter and off-road status. You can see that we are at a 5-degree angle now. We're sitting pretty steep here at Red Rocks, as you can see by that graphic right there. We also have a bunch of drive modes. Of course, this go over any terrain dial. You can switch this up and you can see all the drive modes, and check out the animations. I love these animations. It looks so clean. You have normal, slippery, eco, sport, off-road, rally, and you have rock crawl as well. Looking very, very nice. I like to keep it in normal for regular driving, but let's keep it in sport for now. Now looking at this, we have a 13.2 inch infotainment screen. Now the integration is not that bad because it sits very horizontally, so it's more of a widescreen design for this. But now we also have all the controls for the climate settings integrated in the lower section right here, instead of having these separated like we used to have. You have heated seats in 3 different levels, as you can see right here, something we definitely do not need right now. Heated steering wheel as well, on and off, and you have these buttons for the temperature control. You have plus, minus. I would much rather have it be a dial. It's so much easier, like we talked about in several videos before. But we do have wireless Apple CarPlay, as you can see. I do like the layout that we have here with a big map in the middle, and of course you can go and check out all your apps here as well with your Apple CarPlay media, what you're playing on the right side right there. Looking very nice. Up top, this is very, very soft touch material all around. You see we have the Bang & Olufsen speaker right there. Again, part of the technology package. However, this up here is solid plastic, which is totally fine to me. I don't mind that one bit. It's pretty refreshing as well to see that we don't have a head-up display for this vehicle. Looking all the way down here, beautifully industrial looking vents integrated nicely right underneath the infotainment screen. And all the way down here we do have the engine start button on and off at red lights, hazard button, and a couple of more buttons right here. For example, the camera buttons, throw that up. We're gonna see the 360 view, which is pretty decently configured when it comes to the resolution. It's not a bad 360 camera at all, and this is again part of the tech package if you want to get that for your Bronco. Something that I would probably consider if I were thinking of taking this off-road. Having a 360 camera is always a good idea when you're on the trails, because you can see here specifically exactly the distance to the sides of the vehicle so you don't scrape it too much with obstacles and stuff like that. Now looking all the way down here, you have 2 USBs here, one USB-C and one regular USB, wireless charging pad, 12-volt outlet right there as well. And in addition to that, you have 2 more USB-Cs all the way up here, which is great to see. The more USB ports we have, I think the better. And it's also a cheap integration in new cars. Solid grab handles here on the side. You have the gear selector here. Park, putting it back into reverse, of course, going to pop up again the reverse camera, neutral, and drive. You can go into manual mode by pressing that button with the paddles on the sides of the steering wheel. Let's put it in normal parking right now. 2 cup holders right here. This is what the key looks like. Pretty normal looking Ford key with the unlock, lock, and a remote start panic button right there. It says Bronco on the back. I love to see that. It makes it feel a little bit more special. And as we talked about, the GOAT modes right here, we talked about the drive modes. You have 1 pedal trail control with this button, traction control on and off, lock the rear diff, or you have 4-wheel drive lock here. So this is a solid off-roader. And that is what I love to see about this, specifically with the Sasquatch package. And, you know, it's just a unibody SUV, but it feels like it is pretty capable off-road if you really want to take it there. Looking at the seat design, what beautiful looking seats, super comfortable as well. Heated seats, not ventilated seats in this case. I do kind of like this yellow insert that we have and the yellow stitching that we have on the sides here as well, and in the door panels coming back there. Super comfortable. I like that it's a little bit of fabric here. We have the Bronco logo in the leather here on the side, looking very nice. A pocket here on the side as well. Armrest feels pretty soft, nice to see that. Some storage underneath here, no LEDs, but we do have, as you can see right here, an additional 12-volt cigarette outlet in that area right there. Now looking at the steering wheel, you got a lot of buttons on the sides here. For example, the cruise control settings are all located here on the left side, and then you have the controls to customize the screen right here on the right side, looking very, very nice. You can customize it just as you want. You can't really customize the side, only the center portions here, but that's totally fine. It does switch up, as I said, with the different drive modes. Again, with the graphics in here, I do like the design of the, you see all these small little designs around the speedometer and the tachometer here. This design, the graphic design, feels very cool and very rugged as well. I love to see that in this vehicle. You have a Bronco logo here instead of a Ford logo. Very interesting to see. And it's a pretty small steering wheel. I like to see that. The paddles are a little bit too small, but honestly, I don't think I would ever use the paddles in this vehicle anyway. Looking up top, our tester did not have the sunroof, which I am totally fine with. However, it comes with these auxiliary switches up here, so you can hook up your train horns, your fog lights, your light bars, and whatever you want up there. Looking very nice. And it has a pretty solid glove box here as well, with Bronco stamped in the plastic right there. So with that said, this is a pretty small vehicle, as I said, in the size of a Subaru Crosstrek, even though it looks a little bigger than that. So let's see if I can fit behind my own driving position here, being 6'1", 6'2". Jumping in back here, you can see that the quality of the door panel in the back is not the same quality that we have in the front end, but again, it's totally fine. I don't really care about that. Matte black plastic pretty much all over this place, but we do have the yellow stitching coming back here. Now jumping in, you can see that it is pretty tight already, and the door feels like it's a very small or short door. But honestly, jumping in back here, I don't really have a lot of problems fitting back here for a, maybe not a cross-country road trip, but for shorter trips, no problems at all. And you remember this upswing or dent that we have in the exterior for the roofline, that definitely helps with the headspace, because I have so much headspace here. Very nice to see that. And if we fold down this center armrest, you are of course going to find yourself 2 cup holders right there. So overall, I really like what Ford has done here. The only thing I wish we still had the physical knobs and buttons for the climate settings, but that is the only thing that I would like to change for this design. Other than that, to me, for $44,000, I think it's just a great looking vehicle, and it's also pretty capable off-road with all the drive modes that we have. So now let's take this for a drive and let's see what that is all about. Alrighty guys, let's turn the traction control off and let's have some fun here before we go out on the roads with this 2025 Bronco. There we go. 250 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque from this EcoBoost 4-cylinder. Not bad, but when I drove the 3-cylinder, I remember thinking that this has a lot more power than I was expecting. So the 3-cylinder is still a great option for sure. Of course, the EcoBoost 4-cylinder that we have here is more powerful and also has a better noise to it. I do love that we still hear a little bit of that turbo noise when we're stepping on it in this vehicle. 250 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in about 7 seconds. It is slower with the Sasquatch package, but I mean, do you care? It's because of the tires, the wheel and tire setup. We have some steel bumpers now front and back. All of that stuff is going to add some weight to this vehicle, but this is definitely still. You also have wider fenders for the Sasquatch, giving it a proper stance, which I love to see. And I mean, even if it's a little bit slower than the non-Sasquatch, I would still go with this one because it's an SUV. That is what it's supposed to look like, and I want to have these capabilities if I want to take this off-road and not have to worry about, you know, scraping the bumpers and stuff like that, because in this case they are made of steel. We are in sport right now, and the ride quality on these chunky all-terrain tires is great. I have no complaints about this vehicle at all. I'm struggling to find any faults with this vehicle. The fuel economy, maybe not the greatest. I think it's 21 city, 27 highway, but again, it doesn't really bother me that much. The range is still great, around 360 miles of range on a full tank, which is great. I mean, you don't really need more than that in one go before you need to take a break anyways. We're coming onto this road here, and I'm gonna floor it and show you 0 to 60 in this vehicle if we can get the opportunity to do that. All right, so let's come to a quick stop here and let's floor it. Let's go. There he goes. Does have some turbo lag to it. And we are up to 60 right there. So 7 seconds seems like a correct number. It doesn't feel too quick, but again, it's not what this vehicle is about. Let me know what you think about this new integration of the screen though. 13.2 inches of the infotainment screen. I think it looks decent. It really doesn't bother me, even though it's not that much smaller than the one we have in the Tacoma, for example, which in that case 14 inches look too oversized, but it's all about the integration of the screen in the dash itself. In the Tacoma, it definitely does not feel like a vehicle, a screen that is meant for the interior. Here, we have this nice framing for it, this bay, which sits within, looking very nice. And it also has more of a horizontal view to it, or layout to it, so it's more of a widescreen screen. And that is what I like about this 13.2 inch screen, even though, yes, I do wish we still had the physical knobs and buttons for the climate settings. I really don't know the reasoning behind why companies are removing that and putting everything into the software. Probably a cost question. It's a lot cheaper to have it inside of the software and then creating physical parts for it that you need to manufacture. But from a safety and design standpoint, it's not a better solution for sure. So let's put it into, let's see what we got here. Let's put it into, do we have a comfort mode? We have a normal mode. So let's just put it into normal and see what that is all about. I don't think I'm gonna feel a lot of differences in this vehicle, but I mean, when the Bronco first came out 4 years ago, I was in Florida. I went to a dealership and I had a look at the big Bronco, the regular Bronco, just to have a look at it, and I fell in love with that vehicle the moment I saw it. I think it's it's the new Bronco, and then you had the old Challenger. I think those two designs were the best retro designs in the business. They just, you know, capture the essence of the original in a new modern way, but still has a lot of this retro feel to it that I love to see. So coming onto the highway here, let's see how much road noise we're gonna get from these all-terrain tires. I think we have some more wind noise compared to the tire noise. I don't really hear the tires that much, which is great, and still very, very comfortable on the highway as well. We're going 70 right now. Super smooth ride. This car has pretty much everything I'm looking for in a small SUV like this, even though it is a unibody and not a body on frame construction. But if you're gonna have a lifted vehicle, all of them, in my opinion, should look something like this with the more off-road features, because that just makes sense to have it in a package like this. And look at how green everything is. It's absolutely beautiful out right now. We had 100 degrees yesterday. It was brutal. I was out playing tennis in 100 degrees. I had 2 big water balls with me, but I still definitely prefer summertime and the heat over the cold winters that we get here, for sure. So and I have the lane keep assist on, which means that we have the cruise control on, and the Bronco is handling all the cornering for me as well. Very, very relaxing if you're going for a longer road trip on highways mostly. It's also adaptive cruise control, so if the car in front of me slows down, of course the Bronco is going to slow down as well. it works really well, this system, and I still have my hand on the steering wheel, obviously, because I still always want to have control. If the computer, I don't trust the computers yet. Maybe in 10 years I will, but now still I feel like it can just turn at any sudden moment, so I always want to have my hand on the steering wheel. But it reduces the brain power you need to drive, and it just takes over a little bit of that, like 50% of that. It makes it a much more relaxing, longer drive. So to sum this Bronco 2025 Bronco Sport Badlands up, this is the Bronco Sport that I would personally 100% buy with the 4-cylinder. Even though the fuel economy is not that great, I really don't mind that at all, because other than that, and other than the fact that everything is now inside of the infotainment screen, the climate settings, this vehicle really has everything I would look for in this type of package, a small SUV like this. The off-road capabilities, the exterior styling, interior styling. We have a proper gauge cluster with some of the most beautiful graphics inside there that I've seen in 2025. So it's a great buy, in my opinion, for $44,000. You do get a lot of car. You also do get a lot of off-road capabilities, as we talked about with the Sasquatch package. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.